Here's today's First Word Daily Devotion.
It's the 5th of February, and today we get something real special as we get to see the way that our text, the editors of the ESV Everyday Bible, are weaving these stories together. It really is incredible to think about providence and the way that our Lord is guiding His living and active Word as we encounter it today. But look ahead just for a minute in our reading in February the 5th. Look at Matthew chapter 19. At verse 26, Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." And we're going to see a little bit of the possibility or the all things possible with the Lord as we encounter our text today in Exodus chapter 13 and 14. And of course, this passage is the passage where the Lord divides the Red Sea, where He continues taking His people down the pathway of salvation. And remember this too, we have this memory that the Lord is making in the hearts of His people. He is directing their thoughts, He's directing their inclinations, He's guiding their pattern of behavior according to His purpose. Look at verse 3. "Remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of slavery." And then here's the key. "For by a strong hand the Lord brought you out from this place. No unleavened bread shall be eaten." And then look at verse 5. We have the promise again, always before us. In verse 5, this promise of the Lord, who's going to do exactly what He swore to do. The promise is always before us. Look at verse 8. "Tell your son." And verse 11, "When, as He swore." And then look at verse 14. I love this interplay of just this generational worship that we're supposed to have. "And when in time to come your son asks you, 'What does this mean?' you'll say to him, 'By a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt, from the house of slavery. For when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of animals. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all the males that first open the womb. But all the firstborn of my son I redeem. It shall be as a mark on your hand." Now pay attention here. It shall be as. What shall be as a mark on your hand and the frontlets of your eyes? "For by a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt." Now, what's going to be as a frontlet on your hand and between your eyes? What? Well, a memory. And what is that memory that the Lord wants the people to remember? He wants them to remember that He saved them. He saved them by a strong hand. In other words, the Lord is the God of salvation. So, why would the Lord give us a memory? Why would God give us memory? Well, I think the reason that He would give us a memory is to create a longing in our hearts, as well as to center our current hopes, not only in what He will do, or what He has done, which demonstrates His faithfulness, but what He will do, which also demonstrates His faithfulness. And we realize that right now, in the present. So this God that we serve is a God of promise. He's a God of salvation. He's a faithful God who saves. And look at verse 19. Verse 18, we have this battle language again. They're equipped for battle. But verse 19, "Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, 'God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones with you from here.'" And so Joseph had the anticipation of what God would do to save His people. Now let's skip ahead to verse 30 just because of time. "Thus the Lord saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel saw the great power of the Lord that the Lord used against the Egyptians. So the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and in His servant Moses." Now, here's where it gets really special for us. Look ahead to Psalm 33. and read Psalm 33, not only in light of what we've read earlier in Genesis, but for our purposes today, read Psalm 33 in light of Exodus. Our passage today, Exodus 13 and 14. He gathered the waters of the sea as a heap. He puts the deep in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. For he spoke, verse 9, and it came to be. He commanded, and it stood firm. Verse 10, the Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. Verse 16, the king is not saved by his great army. The warrior is not saved by his great strength. The war horse is a false hope for salvation, and by its great might it cannot rescue. Now, here's the point. Why is God teaching us this? Verse 20, 21, and 22 of this psalm. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart is glad in him, because we trust in his holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you.